Achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisesati Chuddho apeta viññāno nirathangva kalingara.
Okay, that is the stanza we are going to recite today.
Yes.
That is the stanza we are going to recite today. Okay. Now, you heard the recital recited by another monk. That is not my voice, but he has a very good, clear, beautiful voice. You heard the stanza. Achirang vata yang kayo pataving adhisesati chuddho apeta viññāno nirathangva kalingarang. Before long has passed by, indeed, this body will lie on the ground, rejected, without consciousness, just like a useless piece of wood. That is the translation of the stanza. Let us see the meaning of each word separately. Achirang, before long, vata, indeed, ayang, this kayo, body, pataving, on the ground, adi sesati, will lie, chuddho, rejected, apeta, without, viññāno, consciousness, nirathang, useless, were just like kalingarang, piece of wood. That is the nature of this body when consciousness leaves this body. Now, I read word by word. You repeat after me. Actually, 2 words by 2 words, in sometimes 1 word. If the word is long, I recite 1 word. And if words are short, I recite 2. You just repeat what I recite. Achirang vata
Achirang vata
kayo ayang kayo pataving adhisesati chuddho apeta viññāno nirathangva kalingarang. Again, achirang vata ayang kayo pataving adhisesati chuddho apeta viññāno nirathangva kalingarang. So let me recite 1 half line and 1 half line and half line. Achirang vatayang kayo Pathaving adhisasati
Pataving adhisasati
Chuddho apeta viññāno
Chuddho apeta vinnano
Nirattanga kalingarang.
Nirattang vakalingarang
Again, achirang vatayang kayo
Achiram vatayang kayo
pathaving adhisasati
Pataving adhisasati
Chuddho apeta viññāno
Chuddho apeta vinnano
Nirattanga kalingarang.
Nirattang vakalingarang.
Now I recite 2 lines. Achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisasati
Achiram vatayang kayo pataving adhisasati
Chuddho apeta viññāno nirattanga kalingarang.
Chuddho apeta vinnano nirattang vakalingarang.
Again, achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisasati
Achiram vatayang kayo pataving adhisasati
Chuddho apeta viññāno nirattanga kalingarang.
Chuddho apeta vinnano nirattang vakalingarang.
Let me recite the whole stanza, then you recite it. Achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisasati Chuddho apeta viññāno nirattanga kalingarang. Okay.
Achiram vatayang kayo pataving adhisasati Chuddho apeta vinnano niratam vakalingarang.
Okay. Now let us see the story. The story is also very interesting story. There was a man who, after listening to Dhamma sermon that Buddha delivered, he became a monk under the Buddha's guidance. And he was known as Tissa. Tissa. After a while, as a monk, when he was living in the Jetavana monastery area in Savatthi, he had a sickness. The sickness was such, I think nowadays we call chicken pox. No, small chicken pox. Smallpox and chicken pox are not available very much in the United States. Smallpox, I think one of them is smallpox or chicken pox. Smallpox, I think, smallpox is very dangerous. First, there would be some bubbles as big as a mustard seed. And then it grows bigger and becomes like a moong dal, seed of moong dal. Then it becomes bigger as like chickpeas. Then it becomes even bigger just maybe like a cherry, cherry, like a cherry. Then it becomes a little bigger than that, like plum. And then it becomes even bigger than the bell fruit. So they become bigger and bigger and bigger and burst inside. That is smallpox. Chickenpox, when the pimple rise, they break outside towards us. So its pus will ooze out of the wound. But this smallpox break inside into, it keeps digging into the bones, and it becomes very, very painful. And this monk had this sickness, boil all of his body, and they all burst, and pus began to ooze. So he had some monks, young monks, who were taking care of him. But later on, his wounds were so many, foul smell was so bad, these monks gave up helping him. Now in pain, this monk was groaning in bed, lying in bed, without food, without water, without any support. At that time, the Buddha, so by that time this monk became famous as a monk whose body is rotten. Rotten body tissa, puti gatta tissa. Rotten body tissa, or tissa with rotten body. Now he was in pain. So Buddha every day, using his special attainment called Maha Karuna Samapatti, a Samapatti attainment of great compassion. Only the Buddha can do that. He did this twice a day. In the evening, he spread this, and with this compassion, and he sent his supernatural vision to see if there is a person whom he could help to attain at least stream entry. So in the evening he saw it he began to see beings from the edge of the universe, and slowly narrow it down to his kuti, perfume kuti, called Gandha kuti. In the morning, he attained Mahakaruna Samapatti, attainment of great compassion, and he sent his vision away from his kuti, covering, engulfing the whole area, slowly circle. He makes a circle bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, to see if there is anybody whom he could help to attain stream entry. When he was doing that, he saw this venerable Tissa with the rotten body. So he also every day, he went from, he had a little walk among the kutis to see whether the monks were doing well, whether they were sick, whether they had enough food, enough clothes, enough medicine and so forth. As a great leader in the world, Buddha went through among kutis to see how monks were doing. And then he heard this the rotten body monk, he heard him groaning in pain. So he went to his kuti and he immediately found a pot, filled it with water, and lit the fire and put the pot of water on the fire to boil. While water was being boiled, Buddha came and tried to lift this monk with his bed. Then other monks saw him trying to do that. They immediately came and said, Venerable said, no. We can lift him. Please don't trouble yourself. So these monks came and lifted the bed with this monk, brought it out with the monk, and then Buddha asked them to remove one of his robes, which was smeared with pus and blood, stinky, dirty, with pus, blood, urine, smelly. He removed it and washed it in warm water and then put it in the sun to dry. While it was being dried, he took more water, now warm water, brought it to Tissa's bed and gave him a dry bath. All his body, which has not been washed for days and days and days, Buddha took warm water and gave him a dry bath to the upper part of the body and removed all this pus, urine, blood from his skin. And then while he was doing that, the robe he put in the sun was dry. And he got it and covered his upper part of the body and then removed the lower part of the body, the robe, underrobe. That also was covered with pus, blood, urine, sweat, dirt, and so forth. He washed them again. And while it was being dried up, he cleaned the lower part of his body. Then when that robe was dry, he put it on this monk. After all this monk began to feel very, very calm and very peaceful, great relief of pain. Now, physically he was very, very pleased because he was given, his body was washed clean, and mentally he was very clean, pure. And then Buddha said this stanza. It was a very good moment for Buddha to recite this stanza. He recited again.
Achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisesati chuddho apeta vinyano nirathangva kalingara.
Before long has passed by, indeed this body will lie on the ground, rejected, without consciousness, just like a useless piece of wood. Now, friends, a piece of wood doesn't have consciousness, and we can use it for fire. But when this body loses its consciousness and departed consciousness from the body, this body you cannot use for firewood. It is so rotten, so stinky, with blood and pus and so forth. You cannot use it. So the Buddha said this. Nobody wanted to want this body anymore. And it is so unpleasant. No matter how many people love this body, that is the fate of this body. Once the consciousness leaves, Ayu, Usma, Vijnana, the lifespan, its warmth, heat, and consciousness left the body, this body is useless, worse than a piece of wood. So it can happen to anybody. And not only this, after helping this, as Buddha explained it, and this monk in a very peaceful state, very calming, soothing moment in his life, he listened to the Buddha's sermon very attentively. As he was listening to him, his mind became very, very clean and clear, and he attained full enlightenment, stream entry, once returner state, never returner state, and arahanthood. Then other monks who did not know how to read the mind of others, Buddha has a very special ability, very special knowledge. That was that he was able to read the mind of other individuals very clearly, without any mistake, perfectly, correctly. And then when these monks passed away, other monks asked the Buddha, "Venerable Sir, where was he born?" Buddha said, "Monks, he was not born anywhere. He attained arahanthood." Then these monks asked the Buddha, "Venerable Sir, you said that he attained arahanthood, but he suffered very, very much before he attained enlightenment. He had so bad sickness. He was bedridden. Body was rotten. Nobody could stand the order. What kind of karma has he committed?" Then the Buddha said, "Monks, this man, this Tissa, in Kassapa Buddha's time, he was a hunter who hunted birds, and he used various devices to hunt birds. And then he sold some of these birds, and he caught so many birds, he could not sell all of them at once. The remaining birds he kept, breaking their wings, legs, so that they cannot fly. So they kept in a cage, in cages. And next day also he hunted birds, and the bird he collected were so many, so he had to keep them without them dying. So he, broke their legs, wings, and so forth, and kept them. And some of them he killed and ate. And that was he did all his life. This is the bad karma he committed. And one day, he saw one enlightened monk. He did not know enlightened, that monk was enlightened, because enlightened monks don't publicize that they have analyzed. That is because that is their humility. They are very humble. They simply keep it to themselves. They are not going out and advertise. However, this man did not know that he was an Arahant. And even though he had been killing these birds, one day he saw, he prepared some bird's meat for his own consumption, but he saw an Arahant standing in front of him. So he came with some of the meat of birds, soup, rice, and various things, and he wanted to offer something to this venerable Arahant monk. And he offered him, and he said to himself, because he saw this monk was very calm, composed, peaceful looking. His demeanor is very pleasing. And seeing his demeanor, he was very pleased. And he thought, if I also have this kind of mental, physical composure, that would be wonderful. So after offering this food to this venerable monk, he made a wish. May I also one day attain this peaceful state, and may I also one day be able to stop all this killing. May I one day be able to get rid of my greed. May I one day be able to get rid of my lust, greed, hatred, and have peaceful state of mind, just like this venerable monk. Of course, with that wish, after some times he died, and he was reborn in many, many times in woeful, painful states of existence. Finally, in this Buddha's dispensation, he became a human being and had to suffer the consequences of his killing in the past, and as a punishment given by the karma itself, not to any particular person, he had this sickness, boiled all over his body, and body was rotten while he was alive, and gave him enormous amount of pain and suffering. So the Buddha concluded this discourse saying, this is the result of what he has done in the past, and this is the result of giving dana. He became dana with very compassionate, loving heart, and this is the result of killing these animals and so forth. And therefore Buddha said, monks, you now don't worry. He ended this suffering, samsaric suffering. He attained enlightenment and no more rebirth for him, he said. Now, friends, we want you to go through, I want you to go through these stanzas again, as we usually we do. Again, I recite, again, let me hear you the recital of this young venerable monk recite, and then again you try to recite it. Not
Achirang vatayang kayo pathaving adhisesan sati Chuddho apeta viññāno nirathangva kalingara.
very good. That is the way. Now I like you to recite it to make it easy for you. You cannot recite like him. He has a good voice, young. I have an old voice, old person, so you get used to my voice. So he recite this. Achirang vatayang kayo
Achiram Bhante
patraving adhisesati
Patavim Adisati
buddho apeta viññāno
Chutto
nirathang va kalingarang. Okay, I like you to recite now. I like is that
It's called.
huh?
Can't hear you, Bhante.
Okay. Now. Okay. What is Sonam? Can you recite it for me?
Yes. Achiram vatayam kayo patavim adisati chudo apita vinayo niratam vakaligaram.
Okay. Tisarani O Siri Sampanno and the group.
Achirang Vatayang Kayo Patavim Adisati Chutto Apita Viññāno Niratang Vakalingarang.
Very good. Ruvanti.
Tang vatayam kayo hatavim adisesati Chutto apeta viññāno niratam kalingarang.
Okay, Maitri.
Achiram patayam kayo patavim adisesati chuddho apeta viññāno niratam kalingram.
Naya. Anaya. Anaya.
Achiram vata ayam kayo pataviham adesati chutto apeta vinnano Naritam va kalingaram.
Okay. Jenya. Jen.
Achiram vatayam kayo patavim adasestasi chudo apeta vinyano niraktam vakaligarim.
Alingaram. Very good. Monisha. Yes, Monisha.
Teravan Sannai Bhante.
Everyone, Sarma.
Achiram vatayam kayo pataving adisessati kuto apeta vinyano nirattamva kalingaram.
Good. Very good. Anoma.
Achiramvata yam kayo patavim adisessati chudo apeta vinyano niratam vakalingaram.
Okay. Nimi.
Achiram batavam kayo patavim adisessati chudo apeta vinyano niratam vakalingaram.
Very good. Diheni. Dihen.
Achiram vatayam kayo pativan adasestasi chudo apeta vinyano niratam vakalagaram.
I see. I made a mistake. You recited twice. That's good. Okay, Nina.
Achirang vatayang kayo pateving adisesati chuddho apeta vinyano nirattang kalingaram.
Very good. Then Shwan Rupa Singh.
Achiram vatayam kayo patavim adisessati chuddho apeta vinyano nirattam vakalingaram.
Very good. K.M. Tent.
Okay. Achiram vata ayam kayo patavim adisesati chodo apeta vinyano niratam va kalingaram.
Very good. Sriyana.
Achiram vatayam kayo patavim adisesati chuddho apita vinyano niratam kalingaram.
I think very good. Today everybody recited. I am so pleased. The number is not very much. Few people. But you all learn. And please try to recite all these things by yourself and try to remember the meaning. Not only word by word meaning, but the general meaning, and understand the very nature of this life, our body. We are, whether young or old or male or female, we generally become attached to this body, but the very nature of the body is expressed in this stanza. And that means even though we use this body, we don't try to abuse it. Use the body for just to live. When you abuse the body also we live, but with lot of pain and suffering. Our purpose is to reduce our pain and suffering in this life and to get rid of suffering from our life in samsara. And that is the purpose of all this learning. Now, friends, the very important part of this lesson is to practice meditation. Let me see how we can do this. And let me see. Okay. Okay.
Share screen. You have to change.
Okay.
And yeah, you need to share.
We
Minimize.
We could see Bhante.
Okay, you can see this,
Yes.
right?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay, now let us focus our mind on metta recital. That also is very important part of our meditation. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. Okay, with this metta thought, let us begin our meditation practice. By means of these meritorious deeds, may I never join with the foolish. May I join always with the wise until the time I attain Bhavana. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, friends, this ends our evening session on Sunday, and I wish you continue your practice. If you could remember the stanzas, or if you have downloaded, you may repeat them. Otherwise, go back to YouTube. They may be available on YouTube, and look at them and try to remember the meaning of these stanzas and the Buddha's message coming from these stanzas. Remember that and try to live accordingly. And I see you next Sunday.
Thank you, Bhante. Terwan Saranai.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu,
Terwan
sadhu.
Saranai. Sadhu, 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 Bhante.
Terwan Saranai Bhante.
Okay, Teruvan Saranaya.
Saranai.
Oh.